The psychology of being used by people, why it happens, and how to rebuild inner authority. Introduction. Being used by people does not usually happen suddenly. It happens gradually. A small favor becomes a pattern. A simple request becomes expectation. Kindness becomes obligation. Availability becomes entitlement. Many people who feel used are not weak. They are generous, empathetic, responsible, reliable. But generosity without boundaries invites imbalance. Today, we explore the psychology behind being used, why certain personalities attract this dynamic, why it repeats, and how Stoic wisdom restores balance without turning you bitter. This is not about becoming cold, it is about becoming conscious. Part 1. What being used really means. Being used means your value is extracted without mutual respect. It means your time, energy, resources, or emotional support are taken without reciprocity. Sometimes it is obvious. Sometimes it feels subtle. You notice you're always giving, always adjusting, always understanding, always compromising, but rarely receiving. Psychologically, this dynamic forms when roles become unbalanced. One person overfunctions, the other underfunctions. Stoicism teaches imbalance is a signal. Psychology teaches that patterns reveal truth. Part 2. Why generous people are more likely to be used. High empathy increases vulnerability to exploitation. Empathetic people notice needs quickly. They respond before being asked. They assume good intentions. This is strength, but without boundaries, empathy turns into self-neglect. Psychology calls this over-accommodation. Stoicism teaches moderation in all things. Even kindness must be balanced with discernment. Part 3. The fear beneath overgiving. Many people who feel used fear rejection. They believe saying no risks losing connection, so they say yes when they mean no. They comply when uncomfortable. They tolerate behavior that feels unfair. This is not weakness, it is attachment anxiety. Psychologically, attachment styles influence boundaries. Stoicism teaches self-sufficiency, not isolation, but inner steadiness. When you do not fear abandonment, you negotiate from strength. Part 4. People-pleasing and identity. Some people build identity around being helpful. They feel valued when needed. So they unconsciously create situations where they are indispensable. But indispensability invites dependency. Dependency invites imbalance. When you equate worth with usefulness, you accept unfair treatment to maintain value. Stoicism separates worth from approval. Your value does not increase by overextending. Part 5. Why users test limits. People test boundaries, not always maliciously, sometimes instinctively. If you always say yes, they assume yes is permanent. If you never express discomfort, they assume comfort. Psychology shows that behavior is reinforced when unchallenged. Stoicism teaches clarity. When you state limits calmly, you reveal character. Those who respect you adjust. Those who resist reveal intention. Part 6. The role of low self-respect. When self-respect is fragile, standards become negotiable. You accept treatment that does not align with your values. You rationalize imbalance. You say, they are just busy. They are just stressed. I should understand. Understanding without boundaries becomes self-erasure. Stoicism teaches dignity. Dignity means you do not negotiate your peace for approval. Part 7. Why confrontation feels difficult. Many avoid confronting imbalance because conflict feels threatening. You fear being labeled difficult. You fear being misunderstood. You fear creating tension. Psychologically, conflict avoidance preserves short-term peace but creates long-term resentment. Stoicism teaches courage in discomfort. Small discomfort prevents larger injustice. Part 8. How being used affects the nervous system. Chronic overgiving creates emotional exhaustion. Resentment builds quietly. Anxiety increases. You feel drained but obligated. The nervous system stays activated because you're constantly adjusting. Psychology shows that imbalance triggers stress. Stoicism values inner equilibrium. Equilibrium requires fairness. Part 9. How to recognize you are being used. You feel obligated more than appreciated. Your efforts are expected, not acknowledged. Your boundaries are dismissed. Your no is challenged. Your time feels controlled. You feel guilty for resting. These are psychological signals of imbalance. Awareness precedes correction. Part 10. The illusion of loyalty. Sometimes being used is confused with loyalty. You stay because you believe endurance equals strength. But loyalty without reciprocity becomes self-sacrifice. Stoicism teaches loyalty to principles first, not to dynamics that erode dignity. Part 11. Retraining your responses. Pause before agreeing. Ask yourself, do I want to do this or do I fear saying no? Observe your motivation. Psychology teaches that awareness interrupts automatic patterns. Stoicism teaches discipline over impulse. Part 12. Learning to say no calmly. No does not require explanation. No does not require apology. No is a boundary, not an attack. When said calmly, no reveals alignment. Those who respect you will adjust. Those who benefit from imbalance will resist. Their reaction reveals their intention. Part 13. Detachment from approval. Being used often continues because you fear losing approval. Approval is temporary. Self-respect is permanent. Stoicism teaches indifference to external validation. Psychology shows that dependence on approval increases vulnerability. When you detach from approval, your leverage increases. Part 14. Restoring balance without bitterness. You do not need revenge. You need clarity. Clarity reduces resentment. State expectations. Reduce overgiving. Observe reactions. Calm boundaries create stable relationships. Anger is unnecessary when certainty is present. Part 15. Building inner authority. Inner authority means your decisions align with your values. You are generous by choice, not pressure. You help when aligned, not obligated. You give without self-abandonment. Stoicism calls this sovereignty. Psychology calls it secure attachment. Part 16. Choosing reciprocal relationships. Healthy relationships are balanced. Effort flows both ways. Respect is mutual. Communication is honest. When you shift your standards, your environment shifts. Stoicism teaches that you cannot control others, only your participation. Change your participation and patterns change. Part 17. Growth after recognizing imbalance. Realizing you have been used is uncomfortable, but it is also empowering. Awareness restores control. You stop blaming yourself. You stop blaming others. You adjust behavior. Growth begins at responsibility. Part 18. Forgiving yourself. Many feel ashamed for allowing imbalance. Forgiveness is necessary. You acted from fear or hope. Now you act from clarity. Stoicism teaches acceptance of past decisions. Psychology teaches self-compassion. Without self-forgiveness, change feels heavy. Part 19. The power of calm boundaries. Calm boundaries shift dynamics immediately. You do not argue. You do not justify excessively. You state limits and observe. Consistency creates respect. Uncertainty invites exploitation. Stoicism values consistency. Closing. Being used is not proof of weakness. It is proof of unbalanced generosity.
Generosity is strength, but strength requires structure. Stoicism teaches balance. Psychology teaches pattern awareness. When you understand why you were used, you stop repeating it. You remain kind, but not compliant. You remain generous, but not available without limits. And in that balance, respect naturally follows.